Good evening and salutations, my B&B fans. Sometimes I don't know about this show. I really don't. I feel like there's days where it comes across as a parody. And then I have to remind myself that it's not, that these people are being dead serious. When they're acting, some of the stories that go on this thing, on the show, you know what? Let's start off with Ridge and Brooke for a minute. I was just about to call her Brooklyn. So they start talking about, well, they pretty much kind of catch up on Steffi and Sheila and everything like that. And then, Brooke starts apologizing about, how she, kissed Deacon and she never meant to hurt him. And I feel like for the people who've been watching the show for a very long time, when she said, "I'm sorry for hurting you," it's almost like that they're saying, "Well, I'm sorry for hurting you this time," as opposed to the other 4 or 5 other times where I stepped out on his marriage. But Ridge made a choice when he said that, what if I told you I want to come back home? And then he says he wants to come back home, and he kisses Brooke, and I'm looking at this whole thing, and I'm like, you know, the proper thing to do, because it seemed like he'd been feeling that way for a while, and I feel like the proper thing for him to have done, is to tell Taylor, "Hey, listen, I know we've been getting along and vibing and everything like that, but I really want to be with Brooke, and that's pretty much where my heart lies at." Instead of doing this whole back and forth, back and forth, back and forth thing, him messing around with Taylor and nearly sleeping together, and then he just decides out of nowhere. And I really do feel like this was just out the blue. It's almost like the writers are in the room and they're like, "Hey, let's have him get back together with Brooke." All right. And that's literally how it was. It wasn't even like he was spending time with one person would tell and be like, you know what, this is good and everything like that, but I don't really feel like this is going anywhere. It's almost like they just flipped a coin and it was just like, yep, it's gonna be with Brooke. That's literally how I felt. And I know a lot of people been wanting to be with Taylor, and there's people that have been wanting to be with Brooke. And although I don't really know both of their histories, from the stuff that I've read between um, comments and stuff like that from the fans, not just my comment section, but just comments like in YouTube or whatever, like on some of their videos, is that Brooke comes across as a headache. Like she's a lot to handle. When I saw him with Taylor, he seemed like he was very calm and at peace, and he just genuinely wanted to be with her, and she didn't seem like she was always trying to do something that was just out of the blue, or just some sort of crazy scheme, or just some dumb itch, as opposed to Brooke just being like, not to saying that she loves chaos, but she seems like she puts herself in a lot of these chaotic situations with like Bill and Deacon and everything like that. And Taylor was just a lot more simple. And maybe Ridge, on some sort of psychological level, kind of likes a little bit of chaos. He likes a little bit of, well, yeah, chaos. Pretty much the only way I can sit and describe it. Which is why he picked Brooke. Now, I personally don't really care who he picked. I'm just glad that he picked someone. Um, Now, hopefully, he will sit there and tell Taylor that he picked Brooke and he wants to be with Brooke. Despite his children, doing this whole parent trapping thing, he wants to be with Brooke, and that's it. I hope he doesn't just go back to Taylor and just start hanging out and messing around or not saying anything. Because I'm gonna be honest, that would be a real dick move, and just kind of come across as a bit of hypocritical. Especially the way he judged Quinn so hard. He was all up in Carter's business. Hopefully he will sit there and do the right thing and just tell Taylor. Um, so it must be at like the dead of night, or at least around 9 or 10 o'clock. And I know this whole show is supposed to revolve around or have something to do with fashion. Okay, which explains why Taylor looked like she's ready for a photo shoot as opposed to maybe she should just be in, I don't know, her jammies or sweatpants or something like that. I mean, she's at home, she's chilling. I don't really understand why she's trying to look all glammed out for her. You look at Brooke, and she just has on a little red getup or whatever, like she's about getting ready to call it a night. You see Taylor look like she's ready for a fashion shoot. Again, I know it's a soap opera, so you gotta look glam and everything like that, but I don't really understand that. I really don't. Um, all Taylor and Thomas seem to talk about is Sheila and Steffi, and I'm not gonna lie. The minute they start talking about Steffi and Ben and they were the cute couple, it's like, my God, you've been talking about Steffi for 3 days, girl. You're exhausting. Jesus Christ. I mean, I get that they gotta stress this stuff out, but after the after the second day, I was already done. It seemed like Jack just came out of nowhere. It was almost like, hey, I'm in LA. Can I just sit there and shoot some scenes? Yeah, sure, why not? Because I haven't seen Jack for a very long time. And I'm, how do I sit there and put this? Some of these actors and, actresses, well, actress and actors or whatever, I can never say that, pronounce that other. Whenever I'm sitting there saying an actress and I'm saying it plural, I just can't pronounce it. Um, but whenever these people try to do like really dramatic scenes, it just comes across as bad and comical. And I get that it's supposed to show emotion, like, Jack really misses his son and everything like that. But, okay, I use Steve from Days of Our Lives as an example because it's like watching something done right and watching something done horribly wrong. Okay? Because at one point, Steve was crying, he was upset that Trip had died. And there was a point where he was like, I miss my son and I miss my boy, and I don't know why, but it really got to me. I wouldn't sit there and say it made me tear up, but it like I really felt that. I really felt that sadness coming from him. But when Jack said it and he started crying, it came across as so terrible. It, I don't know. It came across as something. It came across really, really, really bad. And I know that he seemed like he was working his ass off towards that part, but it came across as bad, and it made me a little sad because not about the scene, just about when I sit there and think about the actor Ted King, I think about him. I'm gonna go. That's so GH, and how he was just a G. Like he came up to Sonny and he was so not afraid of Sonny. Like he didn't back down or anything like that. And he had this very almost kind of cool and suave to him, you know? And so watching him with a really bad mustache and these scenes that just come across as really terrible. It's like, bro, you are hurting my heart so much. Talks about Lee, how he lost everything with Lee, and I'm kind of like, bro, no offense, but I mean, the chick comes across as pretty icy. Now, don't get me wrong, the actress, that woman is bad. Okay, I saw her do an interview with JLJ Media, and I was like, damn, she is bad. Now, that was probably the best part of that interview was was well how she looked. Because the interview, if you saw it, you know, JLJ Media, he did like interviews or whatever for the red carpet towards the awards and everything like that. And uh, I'm not gonna sit there and you know what I let's just put it this way. I wasn't a fan of the interview. Wasn't a fan of the interview. I felt like there was a certain level of inappropriate and just unnecessariness. Because one of the questions that he said to her revolved around race. Something along the lines of, how do you feel portraying an Asian character and or something like that? And I was like, on what planet does she actually feel like she's portraying an Asian character that's not a stereotypical Asian character or something along the lines that he said? And I was so blown by his question and so embarrassed for the actress. And I remember the actress was like, I don't feel like I'm playing like an Asian character. I feel like I'm just playing, my soul or whatever. And, he laughed it off or whatever, but it was one of those things where it's like, it was completely unnecessary. And I'll just leave it at that. But, because I'm still where I was like, why did I sidestep to that so hard? Um, yeah. Because I'm still there looking at Jack's situation. I'm just like, bro, you seem like you kind of dodged a bullet. This woman seems like she's like that icy, cold, bitchy way, if I'm going to be honest, on a daily basis. Um, and he's sitting there talking about he lost it all, where I was like, what did you see in her in the first place? That's my general question. Um, anyway, he comes, he does his fake tears or whatever, and then he leaves, and um, Taylor and Thomas continue talking about stuff here, something like that. I'm not gonna lie, I was so not interested in that. And then we got Sheila and what looks like the Walking Dead, Finn. Finn is asking questions like, "What's going on with This is after he's like, "You shot me," and of course Sheila does what Sheila does best. Make excuses. It's not my fault. Steffi didn't give me a chance. She wouldn't let up, and blah 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 blah. Okay, because what I saw the situation as Steffi trying to confront a psychopath in a dark alley. Okay? So that's what I saw. Like, you shot me, and shot me. Oh, I didn't mean to do it, blah, 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 blah. The usual excuses. So, after that, he wants to go to the hospital. And once again, she's like, oh, it's complicated. I can't take you there. I'm going to sit there and take care of you. And Finn's like, well, what about mom? I'm your mother. This is one of those things where it's like, biology does not always make somebody your parent. It does not always necessarily mean that they're your family just because of biology. And that, those two, as an example, is a parent. So after he can't go to the hospital, um, he can't even sit there and talk about Lee or anything like that. And clearly, he's not getting no answers about Steffi. And You know, he's lying in bed. One thing he said was hilarious, which was, I'm stuck in bed with a psychopath. I was like, that line made my day right there. I was gonna sit there and say day, night, summer. But yeah, that made my day right there. He was like, yeah, I got to get strong enough so I can get out of here. I'm just sitting there thinking, I know this is a soap opera. What are we doing about food? Okay, let's just forget the medicine for a hot minute. Like, that's not important. What are we doing about food? Because I feel like at some point we're going to run out. Anyone? I guess we got Mike, aka Sheila Simp, since the 80s or 70s and whenever the hell that those two debuted. After she sunk a rock wallet on this man, listen, maybe it's a kink, maybe it's a fetish, I don't know, but that is nuts. And I gotta watch the interview again because I could have swore he said, "How does it feel, playing an Asian character that's not a normal stereotypical Asian character or something like that?" And I just remember just being like, "Why is that the first thing that comes out of your mouth? Like, oh, are you, you're excited about winning? What do you think the predictions are going to be?" Nope, we're just going to get right into asking a race question because for some odd reason that seemed like that made sense. Um. Anyway, let me just double check my notes. Hmm. Anyway, I feel like that's about it. So before I go, because I know during this video I was not there talking a little bit about JLJ Media, and I know some people may try to, I guess, consider it to be like, oh, you're attacking him or you're talking crap about him. It's not really that. It's just that we have different styles when it comes towards this soap opera genre as far as doing videos. And for me personally, I don't like to try to put race, religion, things of that nature into what I do when I don't feel like it's necessary, when I don't feel like it's essential or it's something that is affecting the show. I don't generally tend to like, I don't really like putting that stuff in there. And I like it to kind of just be about the soaps. And, he has a completely different style and that's what he likes to do. But I can't sit there and say, well, I'm not sitting there trying to knock it because that's literally what I did. It's just, it's not really my thing. And I just don't. Well, what? I don't really need to understand why he does what he does because that's what he does, and that's his whole thing. Um, but yeah, I felt like I wanted to talk about that, especially since I was talking about Lee, and I was sitting there, I was like, Lee is such a, kind of an ice queen, but when the actress gets dressed up and everything like that, that girl is, ooh, she's she's bad. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. And I'll see you in the next video.